Hello, everybody. Welcome to Friday. We're not having a Top Money with Tom show today, so we're going to just do a little summary here. The S&P 500 was up a little bit more than 1% today, which was a really nice move. And even more importantly, we actually closed above 6,000, just barely. We closed at 6,000.36 on the S&P 500. Uh, we've had some trouble kind of holding that number. Certainly had some trouble getting through that number once we fell back down. So we'll see how this plays out. Kind of interesting. But this week there was an awful lot that went on. Most of the people know about what happened with Trump and Musk and kind of the battle they had that dropped the market yesterday. Tesla dropped, over 14%. So that's going to be an ongoing, situation as far as that goes. But overall, if you look at what was happening, we've got the private jobs report that came out from ADP on Wednesday, which was actually lower than expected. And so, that's what the Fed's going to be looking at really closely here is the job market and the inflation market. So that showed some weakness. And then today we got from the Department of Labor, we got the jobs report that was actually stronger than expected, 134,000 jobs. Still a lot less than we were getting, last year. Things are slowing down a bit as far as that goes, but still, things are looking pretty good. Inflation has been pretty low. The reports that have come out of inflation have been low. And we've had a situation where, the job market has been pretty decent. I think one of the ironies of this whole tariff situation is that it kind of forced a whole bunch of commerce to happen in a short period of time between consumers rushing out to Apple stores to buy, iPhones or what have you before tariffs hit, or cars or those types of things, and then companies, ordering massive amount of inventory initially, and then of course now with the drop down from 145% tariff to 30%, supposedly the orders went up threefold over normal. And so, in a way, you're getting, even China's probably seeing kind of a little bit of a boom from this, without the ultimate impact of what might happen with these tariffs. So we're still going to have to wait for that. As I said yesterday, it's probably going to be more something along the lines of, late this summer in the fall when we start to see impacts. And so the Federal Reserve, interestingly enough, with a decent job report today, has more of a chance to kind of not raise rates here before September. That's what the market's expecting right now is two rate cuts, 90% chance in September would be the first one. And so, maybe that's when we start to see better impact data on what's happening with these tariffs as far as that goes. So, overall, we've got a situation where Trump actually finally had a meeting with Xi Jinping from China. And, they're basically both going back and forth saying that they're not holding up their end of the bargain that was agreed to in Switzerland. And one of the big things, and Trump mentioned this today and yesterday, was the rare earth metal. So what's happening is these companies like automakers that need magnets, for example, for their production to finish these cars are finding that there's a shortage of these products. And China hasn't licensed all of their companies to start selling to America that they used to have licensed selling to America. So they're kind of forcing a shortage in there, for a variety of different reasons, probably just from a political, a negotiating standpoint as far as that goes. So we'll see, how that plays out as far, because this is super important. I mean, we saw this in the pandemic when they couldn't get, chips to finish these cars. I remember at one point Ford had $1.5 billion worth of trucks sitting in parking lots because they were waiting for some of these final chips. There was a big fire in a chip factory in Japan, combined with just the shortage that we were having anyway from the pandemic itself. So same type of thing here. If these magnets are needed to finish these cars, you might not have inventory coming out. And of course, they have to shut down while they're waiting for these things to happen and what have you. So I think that's why we're hearing more of the rhetoric from the White House just about, what China's doing. According to the articles I read, there was an understanding that they would be full flow on the rare earth metals as part of this deal. And so, of course, one of the things that does happen, these trade deals are trying to do them in a weekend. One of the reasons they take a couple of years usually is because there's just so many details and so many little pieces. And so I imagine that, we'll get a little bit better at this as it goes, as far as that goes. But that settled down. That, combined with the jobs report today, allowed the market to finally break through to 6,000. And so not a bad week altogether. Still, got to wait and see what's happening. We're in this kind of zone, which I've been talking about for a while, where we're in between, the effects of the tariffs And really, we've got the positive effects of the tariffs right now, and what's going to happen, if anything, on the negative side once they hit, as far as that goes. So, anyway, that's what's happening today. Of course, the budget bills out there, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out. But the bond market is still reacting fairly positively. So the markets are doing well here. They're talking to us and saying things could be okay. We'll have to wait and see. But look forward to being able to see you next week. Thank you.